We'll come to order. Before we begin today's meeting, Seguin Township acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Huron-Robinson Treaty Area. We recognize and respect the long history of First Nations and Métis peoples on this land, and that this region continues to be home to many thriving First Nations communities that have lived on Turtle Island for time immemorial. Seguin Township is committed to ongoing learning, responsible stewardship of our planet, and building relationships to help create a better future for generations to come. So I require a mover and seconder, please, to convene. We have Lee and Wibb. So moved by Lee, seconded by Wibb, that the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby convenes at 4:01 p.m. on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. All in favor? And carried. So the Committee of Adjustment hereby convenes a public meeting as per the Planning Act. Applicants and the public can speak at the public meeting. When asked who wishes to speak to an application, please raise your hand, state your name and address, and direct all comments through me. Notice of decisions will be sent to applicants and to the public if requested. Only the prescribed persons as per the Planning Act may appeal a decision or condition of approval within 20 days after the decision. A couple of items of order. If you are attending remotely, please keep your microphone settings on mute unless you are addressing the committee. And folks here physically, if you address the committee, please approach the podium and tap the microphone button so that the folks on the screen can hear you. So I require a mover and seconder, please, to accept the agenda for today's meeting. Moved by Lee, seconded by Lynn. So moved by Lee, seconded by Len, that the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby approves the agenda for the April 9th, 2025 hearing. All in favor? And carried. And one more time, a mover and seconder, please, to accept the minutes of the previous meeting of the committee. Moved by Wibb, seconded by Lee. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby accepts as read and circulated the minutes of its last hearing that took place on Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. All in favor? And carried. I now ask the Committee of Adjustment for disclosure of any pecuniary interest with regard to today's proceedings. Any conflicts to declare? None heard. Okay, so we will move into applications. If the Secretary Treasurer could please introduce our first application.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-0003H Cooper and Baker is to construct a tennis court on the property requiring a variance for a rear yard setback. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone representing this application who wishes to speak to committee? Okay, so turn it over to committee. Questions or comments on the tennis court? Okay. Len, anything?
No,
Nope.
nothing.
Okay, very good. Then I will ask for a mover and seconder, please, to bring this forward. Moved by Len, seconded by Lee. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0003-H Cooper and Baker to construct a tennis court on the property and requests the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under section 6.3, table 6.2, column 9, rear yard setback, 10 meters is required. Proposed is 1.8 meters for a variance of 8.2 meters. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variances conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision. All in favor? And carried.
The application has now been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, moving on. If you could please introduce the next application, Secretary Treasurer.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-0004F Lever is to permit a 22 square meter addition requiring a variance for front yard setback. No formal correspondence was received.
And do we have anyone wishing to address committee on this application?
We're just here to attend.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so no one further. I'll turn it over to committee. Any comments, questions?
I noticed down the right-hand side of the building, looking at the diagrams we have, that the construction appeared to be on the lakeside, and that there was construction down the right-hand side. I'm just wondering what that was all. It's not on here.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Brady, do you have a comment, or Melissa?
So the majority of the structure was actually already existing. The addition part is onto the legal non-complying front yard, which is actually the whole peninsula. And it's actually only 6 feet deep.
Okay.
So, but it did kind of wrap around.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anything further? Okay, mover and seconder, please bring this forward. Moved by Lee. Seconded by Wibb. And is giving up here. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0004-F for Laver to permit a 22 square meter addition to an existing legal non-complying dwelling. The following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 is being requested. Under section 6.3, table 6.2, required yards, maximum permitted 20 meters, existing is 6, for a variance of 14 meters. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variances conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision, and that the owner obtains a building permit for the addition within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
Your application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, if you could introduce number 3, please.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-0005F Right is to recognize existing structures on the property. The applicants have requested variances for lot coverage, accessory structure lot coverage, setbacks for accessory structures, and the area of a waterfront deck. 2 letters of objection were received from Katie Sevier and Kevin and Barbara Chitik.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please. State your name and address.
Lindsay Wright from 13 Shady Lane, Seguin.
Okay. Okay, so Would you like to address us or are you standing
We,
by?
we reached an agreement with the city, with our planner, John Jackson. And he advised if you have any questions to ask us,
Okay.
and he should be.
Yeah. John, did you want to say anything?
Maybe just an overview, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The Wrights got a hold of me because this is foreign to them, as often is the case. They purchased this property a couple of years ago, and they essentially inherited a lot of parts that were not in compliance one way or the other. As new property owners do, they often try to upgrade the property, but they were doing things that they didn't understand were in need of certain permits. And so that complicated things to the extent that there was an order on the property that caused them to have to remove a building, which they have. And they are actually now in the throes of listing the property. They had it listed before they had an offer. It was lost because of the order. The order's gone. Effectively, having inherited what they've got, this posthumous approval will simply legitimize what they acquired. And if you look at all the moving parts, there's no net difference in essentially the coverage and structures around the property, so that what they bought is what exists after they've complied with the removal of 2 buildings, which they've done, so that I believe the conditions that are imposed will satisfy essentially the municipality's bylaws. So unless there are questions, we're extremely happy with the help staff has provided the Wrights and myself to get this in our rearview mirror.
Okay, thank you. Questions from committee? Wib, go ahead, please. Tap your mic.
I have to admit, when I went to the property, it was very busy. And trying to get my head around exactly what was what there was quite difficult. But I think I have it now. But there are a lot of encroachments on the side lot lines abutting other property owners, of which we have objections. And I guess I just have a little difficulty with it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to approve it, but just there's so many different things that it's just not sitting well with me. So I don't have any magic though to fix that, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. If you could just tap your mic, please. Thanks. Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of echo that too. I arrived on the site and honestly, the only thing I could find was the fuel tank. It was on I had a real difficult time. I landed inside a bunch of buildings and there was one on a pallet or something that you had removed.
Yeah.
A big black one. And yes, okay. Okay. And that was, and I think that was one of the 2 that are marked on here in the red. Yes, okay. All right. It was really a confusing site trying to understand what I was.
There was an existing shed there since 1996.
and
That was there prior, and we took it down, rebuilt it, and now it's gone. But that shed had been there since 1996 with a permit.
And just an added note as well, one of the conditions is for the owners to remove the waterfront shed as well, which is the small shed that is closest to the shoreline. So that is a condition that's imposed by staff for approval.
Okay, so, and I just, I echo what I've been hearing, but so the waterfront shed is coming down. I understand that.
Yeah.
The frame deck and gazebo, that gazebo looked to be more of a portable gazebo than a permanent one. And there was some discussion about, yeah, okay. There was, in the earlier version, there was some discussion about lowering the height, I think, of the gazebo or something. There was a, go ahead, Brady.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so that's no longer a recommendation of this approval here. The recommendation is to remove the waterfront shed and then to also provide plantings within the shoreline area to mitigate the
Yeah.
requested variances.
Okay, thank you, Brady. Yeah, it's, I guess what I worry about sometimes is that minor variance becomes a mechanism just to sort things out that never should have happened in the first place. But on the other hand, what's there is there. So, you know, there has been some improvement, I guess, if you want to call it that, by removing some structures, and added vegetation will help. So those are my comments.
We've added, like last year, past 2 years, I've planted over 100 bushes and flowers and trees to that property. We've cleaned it up. We've probably done some things that, like John said, we've made some mistakes, but we've worked with the city. We've removed that shed that's been there for a long time. And we're going to remove the shed by the water that's been there probably 40 years.
Understand. Any other comments? Len, go ahead, please.
I was just wondering the disparity of the figures between the information we first received and what we have now. Like
Yeah. I
the
know.
lot coverage was 13% in the our first receipt of information, and now it's 10.3. So how did that become reduced?
So when we submitted it, when John did his numbers, we asked the same questions. They're different than the cities.
Staff have confirmed with the agent, John Jackson, that the numbers, we are in agreement with these,
Yes.
with the numbers.
Correct.
The new
So-
numbers.
Yes, the revised calculations that were provided to committee, those numbers are in agreement between staff and the agent.
Just might point out too, through you, Mr. Chairman and member Locke, that the Wrights went to get a detailed survey done that inventoried the extent of the structures, improvements on the property. And I would believe it's probably at considerable expense, knowing survey costs these days, so that those numbers and that data should be relatively accurate now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Okay, I will call for a mover and seconder, please, to bring this to decision. Moved by Lee, seconded by Whip. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0005-F for right. The owners have requested the following variances to zoning bylaw 2006-125 to legalize existing structures on the property. Variance number 1, under section 6.3, table 6.3, column 2, lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline, permitted is 8%. Proposed is 10.3% for a variance of 2.3%. Variance number 2, under section 6.3, table 6.3, column 2, lot coverage, entire lot, 8% is permitted, 11.6 is proposed for a variance of 3.6%. Variance number 3, section 4.1.3, lot coverage for accessory structures, 5% permitted, 5.6% proposed for a variance of 0.6%. Variance number 4, section 6.3, table 6.2, minimum interior yard setback for a deck, 5 meters is permitted, proposed is 3.3 meters, for a variance of 1.7 meters. Variance number 5, under section 6.3, table 6.2, 5 meters is the minimum, 3.3 is proposed, again for 1.7 meter variance. And variance number 6, under section 4.1.9D, area over waterfront deck, 12 meters is permitted, 29.5 is proposed for a variance of 17.5 square meters. And variance number 7, under section 6.3, table 6.2, minimum rear yard setback for the carport, 10 meters minimum, 3.54 meters proposed for a variance of 6.46 meters. And all of this is subject to the following. Number 1, the extent of the variances conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision. Number 2, that the owner obtains a building permit for the carport, waterfront deck, waterfront gazebo, and shed with attached decking within 3 years of the date of decision of the committee. And number 3, that the owner remove the existing waterfront shed from their property and revegetate the shoreline area as necessary to restore the shoreline buffer. All in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, thank you, folks. Okay, Melissa, next one, please.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-006-C Monahan is to construct a cottage on the property requiring a variance for rear yard setback. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, do we have anyone attending for this application? No. Okay, committee, any comments on this one? Len, Lee? Sorry, Len,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I just wondered, where they have an unopened concession road. There's no requirement that there be a setback from that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the concession road allowance divides their property in two, so they would be required to have a rear yard setback that abuts the road or the concession road allowance.
So this looks like this house is being built right next to it. That's all right then.
Yeah, so it is 1.2 meters from the unopened concession road allowance.
1.2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no restriction to have a normal setback.
Yes, the minimum setback required is 10 meters. The variance is for 1.2 meters from that concession road allowance.
Okay, so that's what that, all right. So the setback is the variance, you use the concession road as the starting point.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct. The variance is for the setback to the concession road allowance.
okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
So if that road allowance should ever happen to be open,
Yeah, he's a meter away.
he's a bit close to the road, but
Right, that's right.
I mean, the road I know goes up here currently, so the likelihood is probably small.
Our Director of Public Works was circulated on the application for comments, and I don't believe there was any concerns raised by him.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Wib?
The only comment I have is you'd want to pack a lunch to go to the lake.
Yeah. Okay, mover and seconder, please. Moved by Lee, seconded by Wib. that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0006-C for Monahan to construct a new cottage and requests the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under section 6.3, table 6.2, rear yard setback 10 meters is permitted, proposed as 1.2 for a variance of 8.8 meters. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision, and that the owner obtains a building permit for the cottage within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, Melissa, number 4 or 5 already. Hunter.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-0007H Hunter is to construct 2 attached decks and a boathouse on the property, requiring a variance for lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline. No formal correspondence was received.
Thank you. And do we have anyone wishing to address committee on screen or on phone? So committee members, comments, questions? Len, anything?
Yeah, the appearance of the boathouse, we seem to be concerned about boathouse appearances.
Don't think that's on this one.
Well, I see
Is it?
They haven't actually designed the boathouse yet. They know they will be building one, but they've stated that it will comply with all of their bylaws.
so appearance would be part of that.
The
Well,
variance.
I mean, you know, we spend a considerable amount of time discussing that the waterfront have proper type of boathouse that would fit in with the existing properties.
Yeah, yep. The bylaws would dictate that, and the boathouse would only be permitted what's permitted in the bylaw. So this would only grant for lot coverage, which is an 11 by 11 boathouse.
So is it a condition of the application that the owner provide drawings or specs for the boathouse to get final approval, or?
The condition of approval would be for the site plan lens. So the site plan will dictate the size, the 11 by 11 meter boathouse. However, when they go to submit their building permit, they will have to ensure that they comply with all of the requirements of the
Okay.
zoning bylaw in terms of height and setbacks. Yeah, in terms of appearance, yes. Dormers, height, setbacks.
Thank
I don't
you.
think they dictate colors and finishes though, really.
No.
No. Okay. Answer your question?
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, mover and seconder to bring to vote. Wib moves. Len seconds. Moved by Wib, seconded by Len, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0007-H for Hunter to construct 2 attached decks and a boathouse and requests the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under table 6.3, section 6.3, table 6.3, lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline. 7% is the maximum permitted, proposed is 8.2% for a variance of 1.2%. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variances conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision, and that the owner obtains a building permit for the deck additions and the boathouse within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, and moving on to the last one, please.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2025-0008H pipe is to permit a detached garage on the property requiring a variance for lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline and whole lot coverage. No formal correspondence was received.
Thank you. Who do we have standing by on this one?
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Pock. I'm a senior planner at Morgan Planning and Development. Here on behalf of our client, Mr. Phil Peavy, and for the subject property located at 175632. I did have a brief presentation. If I could maybe request to share my screen.
Yeah, if it's brief, that's fine.
I will keep it brief. Okay. You see that okay?
Yes.
So as mentioned, I'm here on behalf of our client with respect to the subject property located at 175 Highway 632. With respect to minor variance number A 2025-0008H. Location of the subject property is shown on this slide here, generally southwest of the Rosso settlement area, as well as just like to draw your attention to it is fronting onto Lake Rosso, specifically Cameron Bay. Property is currently developed with a single detached dwelling, boathouse, which is currently under construction, a shed and a detached garage, and it is serviced by individual on-site services. The proposal before committee this evening seeks to legalize the lot coverage on the subject property. The reason for the increase is our client did establish a detached garage without a building permit, which has now increased what was permitted to be 8.73% lot coverage to 10.1% lot coverage. There was a previous minor variance that was approved for the subject property, which, as I mentioned, would permit a maximum of 8.3%. The application before committee this evening also seeks to increase the time frame required to reconstruct a new garage in the same location of the same size. So we understand that there's a condition attached to the approval of the minor variance this evening that would allow for that. So basically our client would demolish the existing one that was built without a permit and seek to build a new one within that 3-year time frame. Basically right now it's used for storage of materials for constructing the boathouse that's on site. So once those materials are removed from the detached garage, now it would be removed and replaced with a new one. This is just an excerpt from the proposed site plan. Just like to draw your attention to the boathouse that was approved in the lower right-hand corner under previous planning approvals. So that's currently under construction. In the middle of the site is the existing single detached dwelling. The red border represents the required setbacks from the interior I guess the interior and front lot lines, and bubbled with the red circle around it is the existing garage that would be replaced within 3 years with a new detached garage, same location with the same footprint and the same height. These are just some images from the subject property. On the left, you can see the existing detached garage, and similarly on the right-hand side with respect to the driveway location with the detached dwelling in the distance. This is a view from the subject property from the shoreline. Just like to note that there would be no shoreline vegetation required to be removed, and we do recognize that there is a condition attached to the approval that would require additional plantings between the area of the detached garage as well as the shoreline. We have reviewed that recommendation with our client, and we are agreeable to that. No issues. In terms of planning documents, the subject property is located within the shoreline area, which permits shoreline residential uses as well as accessory uses such as the detached garage. And it is zoned shoreline residential 1, which similarly permits single detached dwellings as well as detached accessory structures. As part of our application, we submitted a full planning justification report speaking to the applicable planning policies. And just to recap, the proposed minor variance this evening is to permit an increase in lot coverage for the subject property, both within 60 meters of the lot line or within 60 meters of the shoreline, but for the property as a whole, as the entire property is located within 60 meters. There was that previous minor variance which permitted the 8.73% maximum lot coverage, and based on the construction of the detached garage, it would increase it to 10.1%. We have reviewed the 4 tests of a minor variance within the Planning Act and have concluded that it meets all 4 tests. That concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, I do my best to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have actually a question of clarification. I understood that there's a shed that was to be removed, but that the garage stays? Is that not?
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a shed. It was not shown on the site plan, but it was included on the survey, and I could pull that up if you want to see the location, but it's generally to the northeast, kind of near the driveway location. That would be removed as part of the reconstruction of the new garage.
Correct, but I maybe I misheard, but I thought I heard that the actual garage that we're seeking perhaps to legalize is going to be torn down and rebuilt?
Correct.
Yep, okay. Just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions? Webb, please.
So in essence, then, the garage that's there now, without a permit, was built just to house the material for the boathouse. That's a question.
Yes.
Surely somebody must have known they needed a permit for that if there's already all that construction going on.
I guess through the chair, to the committee member, we were retained after the garage was built. I can't speak to our client building the structure without a permit. They do have permit drawings that would be subject to the approval of the minor variance, would be submitted to the building department to obtain the necessary building permit so they could continue to use it in the interim until it was removed and replaced with the new garage.
Thank you.
Anything further from committee? Len, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Mover and seconder to bring this to vote, please. Moved by Len. Seconded by Lee.
Close to the highway for sure.
Moved by Len, seconded by Lee, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2025-0008-H for POIP to legalize a detached garage on the property. The following variances to zoning bylaw 2006-125 have been requested. Section 6.3, Table 6.3, Column 2, maximum lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline, 8.73% permitted, proposed is 10.1%. for a variance of 1.37%. And under Table 6.3, Section 6.3, Table 6.3, Column 2, maximum lot coverage for the entire lot, 8% permitted, 10.1 is proposed for a variance of 2.1%. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variances conforms to that shown on the submitted plans attached to the appendix of the decision. Number 2, the owner obtains a building permit for the garage within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. Number 3, that the owner remove the existing shed from the property. And number 4, that the owners execute an agreement with the municipality pursuant to Section 45, subsection 9.1 of the Planning Act. And this agreement is to be registered on title to require the submittal of a vegetation plan. All in favor?
I have a question first, please. A clarification on the motion.
Quick one.
We are voting to approve the existing, the legal existing garage. So does that mean that when they tear it down and they build another one, they have to get a new, or is it just that they're going to put that on the exact same, like we're not approving a new garage, we're approving the one that's there illegally,
Yes,
right?
yes. It's not another one. It's just, it's going to
It's
be
the one that's there
taken down and
illegally.
rebuilt, but
Okay.
it's in the same spot. Okay,
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So that they'll need another, if they could actually seek another variance and build a bigger garage then.
well, they
Higher
could
garage.
ask for it later on,
Yeah.
perhaps, yes.
Right.
Okay, so for this one, are we ready to vote?
Mhm.
Yes, okay, so all in
Thank you.
favor? And carried. Melissa,
The application has been approved. You'll get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
okay, thank you, sir.
Members of the committee, have a good evening.
So we are on to other business, if there is any. Anyone has business? Whip.
On this particular one that we just approved, 3 years seems like a long time for them to be able to hang around without a permit for a building that was built without a permit.
So they would, just in general terms, not speaking about the application, so they will be required to obtain, you are required to obtain a building permit. As orders can be placed on structures that are currently illegal and didn't receive a permit. So in general, yes, a permit would have to be obtained for a structure.
Yes, but, and I know there's orders because I saw them when I was there, but it just seems like 3 years is a long time in instances, like we've broad brushed it to 3 years for everything now. And I think there are instances maybe where that could be shortened.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Thanks.
So another question, if that building comes down, frequently we have also a demolition permit required, so is that not required in this case if they take that down?
A demolition permit would be required under the building department, so they would seek assistance from the building department for that.
Okay. All right, nothing further, no more business, then we will ask for a motion to adjourn, please. Anyone? Wib?
Can I just ask, I got on here late because I was picking up my children, but I had an application of A-2025-0003-H. I'm just trying to figure out whether that, you guys addressed that one.
It was approved.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else hiding in the ether? No?
People on there, but I think everybody's been here.
Okay, so just one last check for the online audience. Anyone have any other business for the committee? All right, so motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Lee, seconded by Webb. that the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this hearing at 16:44 p.m. on Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025. Committee will hold its next hearing at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the 14th, 2025, May the 14th, or at the call of the chair unless the Secretary Treasurer has not received complete applications for committee consideration. All in favor? Carried. Committee is adjourned.